Hey guys, I am back with my co-host Andre Escobar. Whoop, whoop,
Hey
whoop.
guys.
All right, and so this is our third episode of Conversations with Net on YouTube. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do want to also mention that I have a audio only podcast that is on Spotify under the same name, and it broadcasts on all podcast platforms. So if you're an iPhone user, whatever iPhone podcasting platform you use, I'm there too. All right, so today is going to be our Sound of Freedom movie review, and we have fun getting to the theater, right, Andre?
Yeah, we did have fun.
It was an
We did
adventure
have fun.
because we were
It was an adventure.
busybodying ourselves.
I'm not gonna comment on your driving, but it was an adventure.
What? You didn't like my driving?
No, it was very safe.
Thank you. I'm a very safe driver. I believe in my passengers are precious cargo. They used to be my children. And for me, you're
Right,
like my one of my older sons. So I'm gonna keep you safe. You can do whatever you
right,
want. I'm gonna
right.
keep you safe.
Because riding with me was very different, right?
Exactly. No shenanigans in my car. That's a must. And you must wear your seatbelt. That's important to me too. We don't want you flying through the windshield. Just in case there's crazies on the
Right.
road. Right. Because I'm gonna be safe. All right.
It was very safe.
Yes. And so we went to what was the theater we went to or the hotel we went to?
Santa Fe.
Santa Fe Hotel, which I've never been there, but it was nice. Just like all the station casinos. Um, we had a mix up with our tickets, but then we were a little late, so I don't do late, but we got there and
A
we
little
changed our
late.
ticket times. And then we had to sit all the way in the front of the theater. Thank God they had those good seats though. They had the good seats.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
reclined pretty far back.
Yeah. We
Put me to
reclined.
sleep.
Yeah, we reclined. We had our favorite we had eaten before. So let's talk about how we ate before. We didn't have to eat popcorn and soda.
Oh right.
What do we eat, Andre?
Ooh, fat burger.
Fat burger.
A big fat burger.
Mm-hmm. We ate
I
some nice fat
wait.
burger.
So I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta watch my mouth.
What you mean? Oh no, we don't do that. I don't play that.
Okay,
Even as a kid, I didn't play that.
I'm just
Yeah. The funny thing is, that's another thing that I want to talk about since my mom's here. Hey, mom. That I always have a lot of people saying I have a foul mouth. I'm like, you know what? It's my mouth.
right,
That's like, your ears are not that precious. You'll be all right.
right, right.
And I do apologize in advance because, like I said, my mom's here and she's a
I'm
minister.
I'm gonna
Um,
apologize in advance as well.
yes, I'm not gonna watch my language. No, that doesn't happen.
Okay, okay. I just
I
had
am,
to be sure.
I am 49 years old. Those times are over.
Right.
So let's get into it. So I think we had one kind of a notion. Oh, actually, let me hold slow my roll because I said I wanted to start off with. Do you have your favorite scripture up?
Oh no, I didn't pull it up yet.
Yeah, go ahead and pull it up. So I do want to send a sentiment out there. The sentiment is that um, I am still a child of God. Like I said, I grew up with parents who are very involved in the church. I do want to always position myself properly in the world, even though I'm unconventional in my ways of navigating my journey. Um, but I do live by a certain credo, basically, and it does come from the Bible. And I want you to start yours when you get ready, the one that resonates the most with you.
Oh, you want me to start with mine?
hmm I like yours. Mine is
Um,
simple. Yours is more
I was gonna say it's kind of
complex.
long, right?
I don't care. Go ahead. Say it. We got time.
Okay, so one second. So of course it's First John 3 and 13 up until about something, right?
hmm
Dang, now she want to. She not only does she want me to read out loud, but she want to record me
She
reading
can't
out
hear it. Is the problem. I wish you could hear it though. No, because we're recording. It's not live. Yeah. So you only get to hear my side. I know. So that's hard, but you'll see it. Yeah, you'll see it later. So, all right.
Okay, First John 3:13 it says, "Do not be surprised, believers, if the world hates you. We know that we have passed out of death into life because we love the brothers and sisters. He who does not love remains in spiritual death. Everyone who hates or works against his brother in Christ is at heart a murderer by God's standards. And you know that no murderer has eternal life abiding in him. By this we know and have come to understand the depth and essence of his precious love, that he willingly laid down his life for us because he loved us. And we ought to, I'm sorry, my phone is being,
No, yes, you're
um,
fine.
it's not an iPhone, and I'm, having issues with like complete
No,
navigation
it's
because
good.
I didn't push the button. But no, that's not what I was trying to do. And see, she want me to read out loud, and she want to record it. Wait, okay. So by this we know and have come to understand the depth and essence of his precious love, that he willingly laid down his life for us because he loved us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the believers. But whoever has the world's goods or adequate resources and sees his brother in need but has no compassion for him, how does the love of God live in him? Little children, believers, or dear ones, let us not love merely in theory, with word or with tongue, giving lip service to compassion, but in action and in truth, in practice and in sincerity, because practical acts of love are more than words. By this we will know without any doubt that we are of the truth, and we will assure our heart and quiet our conscience before Him whenever our heart convicts us in guilt. For God is greater than our heart, and we know, and He knows all things. Nothing is hidden from Him because we are in His hands. I'm gonna stop right there.
Okay, that's good. Second John. So
First
I'm going to
John.
read First Corinthians. It's 13, um, chapter 13, 4 through 11. And mine is Love Is. This is something I read when I walked in my bedroom every day as a child. It's a plaque that was on my wall. And it says, Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. So I will always walk in that understanding, is what I try my best to do. I'm not perfect, but I do try. So,
I'm perfect.
uh-huh. Perfectly, Andre. You are
Yeah.
perfectly, Andre. I agree. Um, and so we had a good time at the movie theaters. It was fun spending that day with you. I'm so happy that I got to spend that day with you, and I always want to tell you how much I appreciate your company. You are a good spirit and a light, at least to me. Okay.
At
All
least to
right.
you.
So thank you. I want to make other plans. I started thinking I should just take Andre when I want to do this because he's a whole lot more fun to hang out with. So I might, be taking you on a few more field trips, Mr. Andre Escobar, if you don't mind.
I don't
Um,
mind.
all right, cool beans. So let's get into it because I want to preface this conversation with the fact that the previous sentiment I had with the episode before this one was more so just my general understanding about the sex trafficking atmosphere we've been in since the Trump era. I feel like I have PTSD based on all of the non factual things floating in the air. And I feel like I was a little preemptive, like a little preemptively cynical about the conversation. But I also want to caveat that after seeing the movie, my position has completely evolved. I've been able to understand and remember that show we used to watch, To Catch a Predator. It used to come on TV, and the guy would say, "Oh, these guys are online, and
Yeah. 12-year-old
they think
kids,
they're
and they would
meeting a
pop up at the
13-year-old."
house. Yeah, with the
Yeah,
rope or the candy or
exactly.
the movie that they was talking about. So they just brought that
Right.
shit back, right?
Right.
They
So
just brought it back.
that's what I was thinking about. Like we hear about these things, and even John Benet Ramsey. Eve was telling me about John Benet Ramsey was attacked in her house. They still don't even know what exactly happened to her, but she was one of those beauty queen children who was kind of early was sexualized early on in her life. And we don't know if that was part of the reason why she was targeted, but we also have to remember that those are the things that we've heard about throughout our entire lifetime that we don't kind of bring into today's thought processes. And this is
Right.
one
But
of those.
but
Mhm,
at
go
the
ahead.
same time though, I was, having a discussion with some people on social media, and somebody
Hmm.
brought up a great point though, because
Hmm.
not to say that it's okay to, if you will, over sexualize children, but at
Hmm.
the same time, when we talking about predators, we got predators who, fantasize about the little girls with the barrettes and the pigtails, and
Yeah, they
like
don't
dress
fantasize
like
about
little
the
kids.
exactly little
So
girls with
to
makeup.
say
Yeah,
that she's more susceptible to being, harmed or whatever because of how she's dressed or presented. Like when you talking
right,
about these perverts who like little kids, they not
right.
giving a fuck about what
Like
you dressing
what
them
we
like.
do has nothing to do with their
Right.
their
So we're not gonna make it
dysmorphia
like,
about what who to sexualize. That's
right. The children aren't the
that's a
issue.
mental
You
problem
know what
they're
I mean?
having.
Like the parents
Yeah,
aren't the issue. It's these grown ass
parents aren't the
people
issue.
who,
Hmm.
can't control themselves and, don't understand the matter of consent. Like that's the problem.
Exactly.
Regardless of how
they're
they dress.
they're they're the ones with the problem. We can't make our children into uh, scared people because of the ways of other people. We have to protect them, which is the better position. Like I
Right.
always say, don't let your little children answer the door. I remember when I used to canvas and 3 year olds were answering the door. I'm like, what? Where's your mother? I am a stranger. Why are you answering the door? Is what's going on in my mind. I was
Right.
like, where's mommy and daddy? Don't let your kids answer the door. That's my number one ammunition to all parents. It's never a good idea, ever. And we even had a secret knock. And I remember the little girl who got ran over by a car. She's paralyzed forever after trick or treating, and her mother and father did not escort her across the street. You know what I mean? We still have to do those things. Our children are our precious gifts. They cannot think or foresee these kinds of events, and that's why they have parents. And we always have to look around corners for our children. And so that's how we kept our kids protected. And I'm hoping that I can send that out into the universe that protect your children. Don't always assume that they're going to be safe without you making sure
It's
and
a whole
ensuring they
cold,
are safe.
cruel world out there.
It
Like a
is.
whole cold, cruel world. And
It is.
everybody don't think like us. All people weren't
Mm-hmm.
conditioned the same way that you were, regardless
Yeah.
of what environment that you grew up in.
Yeah.
Everybody outside of that don't think like that. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
there are people who feel like, oh, when you have in situations with people, that children ought to be left out of it. But you need to be wise enough to know that you have children. You
Yeah.
got to go.
Where'd you go, Andre? Oh, I'm gonna. We are back. Um. All right. So let's just get into it because we went to the movies and it started off with this detective who was frustrated that he was not able to do more. Is the basic sentiment, and we followed his journey. Which me and you at first we were thinking, stay up. Remember, like don't fall asleep because we were thinking it was going to be boring, or we
Oh
were
no.
thinking it was not going to be. We'd ate. We had some what you call it when you eat. You want to take a nap?
Itis.
Yeah, yeah. We had the itis. But we had our Sour Patch Kids. They let us bring our soda in from the casino because I was like upset about that. I had got a refill and they were acting like, "Oh, you can't bring stuff out." We brought our sodas in. We're fine, and so that was good. I like that atmosphere where they're not like vigilantes, like, "Oh, I gotta go buy the expensive soda." I was like, I just bought soda in your venue. I want to bring it in from Fatburger. Okay, I'm good. And so that was nice. Auntie gambled and won some money. What? How much money did you win?
I'm like $55.
Yeah, you won some good money. You just went, sat down for 5 minutes and won your 55.
Off for like $3.
Yeah, with $3. The Santa Fe station. It was he does. Yeah, it's the machines. Auntie just goes in. He you paying plenty penny slots. Is that the first one you
It
played?
was dang quick cash,
It was quick cash.
something
Was
like
it
that.
pennies or quarters or what?
No, it was I think a dime, but I play
A
like a
dime.
dollar 50 or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, not bad. But you won some money real
So
quick.
by the
I was
third
like,
time I
shoot, I
was
wish I could.
spinning, I was winning.
Yeah, you just yeah. I don't understand them. I lost money the first time I came and played. I don't do that no more. So I'm good. But you did good. And so it's a spoiler alert just in case people have not watched the movie. But basically the father in this situation put his children in a position where no parent is trying to put their kids in danger, but it was
Don't
a
say that.
situation where
Don't
he
say
had
that.
left his
Don't say
kids.
that.
I know, but parents
Don't
are
say
never
that.
going to
Don't
want
say
harm to
that.
come to their children's way.
Don't say that.
I know. I'm
Don't
sure he
say
didn't
that.
think that that was going to be the situation.
There are parents out there who will put their children directly in the
Oh.
path of harm for the sake of their own good. Okay? Don't
Well, some
say
parents
that.
are
In
just
this same instance, in the
disrespectful.
same, situation, like I don't know why, but I'm black. I've been through some shit, I've lived
Yes.
a life, but in the times,
Hmm.
especially in the boom of the crack epidemic, motherfuckers was
Yes.
dropping kids off left and right. You know
Everywhere.
what I mean? Like they was bartering
Selling
their
their kids.
children for
Yes.
drugs. Yeah.
Right, right.
So I'm not gonna
Yeah.
believe that a parent not gonna put their child in harm's danger or want no harm to
Well,
come
I
to their
stand
child,
corrected. You're
especially
right.
when the mind is way out there. Now his intent may not have been for this to happen, and the majority
Yes.
of them may not want for shit like that to happen. But like
Yeah.
we discussed when we first talked about this in my life and what's not to say normal, but what I was conditioned to at a certain point in time, like
You're right.
it's been happening.
And I apologize that you experienced that because that should never be a child's experience. But I do understand that in my world, we come from the
Wasn't nobody
church
selling
and
me for crack. I just want to make sure I put that out there.
they didn't sell you. Thank God. They thought you precious enough not to sell for some rock.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um, and that's why we existed. People like us existed because we understood that there was a gap in our community and we needed to fill the gap. Hence why we had karate, we had basketball, we had homework help at our house, and that was my experience growing up. So that we could be, yeah, piano. We so that we could be part of the solution instead of the problem. And we're grateful. We're very grateful because a lot of people were able to come to our home, open door policy, and just have refuge from being alone at home or not having company and not having a safe place to be. You didn't have to be in the streets. You could be right there with us. And we are going to be protective and put good things in your mind. And hopefully that resonates with you so that you can. It's the same sentiment as what they're trying to do with the Sound of Freedom. It's like, pay it forward. You know, if you are able to, pay it forward. And so for that, I'm always grateful. Um, and so back to the movie, I was very impressed. It's like I was literally, like I said at the beginning, we were acting like don't fall asleep, and not too long in, we were like, wait a minute, go there. We're involved in the storyline, and we're rooting for him to succeed, and we are immersed in the idea of helping these children. And they really did a good job of unraveling that story and bringing light to the industries that are fueled by people who are on this side of the border and don't really understand or process where all these things we consume come from and what they create on the other side of the borders. So it was the drug cartel. And we know as Americans, we kind of indulge and consume in all of these things, pornography and different industries like that that have these victims basically. Because I have to um, just make general comparisons because you know you're not trying to condemn people for whatever they do, but um, the industries that create the product can have situations where people are being abused and not treated well, and we always want to try to not fuel that wealth for the people who will cut off people's heads in Mexico. But um, this movie takes us back to that understanding. Just like I was telling Andre that, the funny thing is people will act like, oh, I don't want to. I was watching College Hill the other day and they had little pigs that they had to dissect. And everybody was having a problem because they could see the pig's head. I said, but we eat bacon every day. We always eating bacon. We don't have no problem with that. We eating burgers. We don't have no problem with that. But we don't know where our food comes from. And that's kind of the American way. We forget how these things come about. That's my little 2 cents about that. What do you
Right,
think?
but when you say like, try not to fuel these industries that kind of, you know, support the type of shit that's happening, it's
Yeah,
nearly impossible. You know what
it
I
is
mean? Like,
impossible. I know.
and that's the structure of it. Like that's how the shit is
Yeah,
set up to where,
capitalism.
if you want to be opposed to it, then you damn near gonna have to be a minimalist or, live off
Hmm.
the grid and really not,
Yeah,
because everything that you kind of need to, have a decent quality of life, it fuels the
yeah,
industries that, like support this shit. Like the people who
right.
thrive off of that. You know what I mean? Like you.
And that's the conundrum of being in a society where capitalism reigns supreme, and it's about the almighty dollar. And for those who are on the bottom, the only way to be able to rise up and have all the monies to do these nefarious things. So that's kind of the world we live in, and there's not much we can do about it. And that's why people kind of like just go about their lives and they don't carry that weight on their shoulders because even the government is trying to balance themselves with being a little bit in it and a little bit out of it, and we kind of are all in that place because if the government really didn't want drugs to come into this country, that would
They
not be
wouldn't.
happening. They are part of the whole problem.
Yeah.
They kind of turn the blind eye and let the tunnels happen, and they know how this works because we see it on TV.
You watch Snowfall?
Nah, not Snowfall in particular, but why?
I mean, hey, it is what it is. But shit like that, it really be, and it's not even just a matter of seeing it on TV. It's a matter of being, in it in real life. We was
Yeah.
watching Snowfall and how they traveled up to the Bay and they was in Oakland and they learned the recipe of how to cook that crack and took it back down to LA and like did their
Yes.
thing. You know what I mean? That's why I
Yes.
speak so much about the boom of the crack epidemic and shit like that,
Yes.
because I was in that area at that
Right.
time.
And this is
Not
something that
LA.
was brought
I
to
was in the
Black people
Bay,
because
like
back
where
in
they
the
went
day in the
to get the
70s,
motion.
mind you, in the 70s, Black people were trying to rise above. They were trying to be
Even before,
entrepreneurs. And they got neighborhoods burned down and they were told, stay in your place.
even
And
before,
then they brought the crack in there and say, hey, you can do this, but you can't do that.
right?
So this is very much so designed by the United States, and that's just what it is. And we don't want to not process that part because a lot of people want to act as if somehow we just want to be criminals. I'm like, no. That's why Tulsa, Oklahoma got burned down because we owned our own banks and we owned all of our own businesses. They came and bombed us and told us no. So this is what America has created. They've created a dynamic in the Black community where we have to ask permission or act as if somehow we can't take ownership, or we've been fighting just to be equal and free. And in the background, they still haven't made a federal law against lynching. So we got to realize that this is where we are,
It's still
and that should
illegal
be
to
an
be
easy
black.
decision, but it hasn't been made yet because somehow they're contemplating that. Well, we need not to make this a federal crime. I'm like, why? Why isn't that a federal
Right?
crime,
Why?
government? Why?
Why? Because we
Okay,
want to keep y'all in line.
of course they want to have alternatives
Yeah, but we
to
all know
controlling
still at the
us.
same time of He was in
So
control, and it's beyond just like the white man being in control. We know what type of white man is in control because it would be
yes,
different if it was a free-minded white man that was in control that wanted, equity for everybody. It wouldn't
right,
be much of a complaint that that type of white man had the power because it would be, him working for the people. But the type
right,
of white man that is in control
hmm
is what's dangerous, you know?
right.
So
And that's where
we
Trump came into the picture to help us understand how many people are behind closed doors, acting and thinking in ways that, in front of people, they want to be PC, politically correct.
only because he couldn't keep that shit behind closed doors. Not
Right.
because he was better than. So let's make sure we keep that understood. It's not because
So
Trump was better than or he wanted everybody to know whatever. It was because he couldn't keep his
mm-mm.
shit behind closed doors.
He was
Sloppy.
bursting at the seams.
All
He
that
wanted
shit
to
was ill thought.
get a whole following.
Yeah.
And now they want to act as if, and if you're on the right, just I speak freely. That's the way I live. Um, if you're on the right and you're a Trump supporter, I'm not going to hate you or feel some kind of way about you, but I do understand that that is what is fueling him. And if you don't understand it, then your deciphering skills to me are off
I
because
don't
it's very
hate you, but I
clear.
don't trust you.
It's very clear. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them.
I
That's
don't
Trump
trust you.
too. Like when he says he'll murder people, he can murder someone in the middle of Times Square and would not lose a follower. That resonates with me really
He can
hard.
gain some. What you mean?
Exactly. So you cannot pretend that that's not what you see and
Because we
hear.
know what type of person he gonna murder in Times Square to keep the set of
It
followers
won't
that
be
he
one of
already
you.
got. It's not.
Yeah. So hey, it is what it is, and it'll be what it is. But
It'll be what it
don't think
is.
I don't see
You see
it.
it.
Right. Don't think we're gonna play a blind eye. I'm not. I'm gonna speak on it for
Mm-hmm.
real. So and that's just the militant side of me. That's where, when I grew up in a Christian household, I just didn't have that spirit totally. I had no. Sometimes an eye for an eye is what it is, or sometimes people don't deserve your forgiveness, and I've experienced that in my life, where you bring yourself to a point of mental illness or mental destruction when you believe everybody needs your forgiveness. Some people don't. They don't deserve it. And call it what it is. Call it what it is. And don't be mad. Don't Yeah, don't be apologetic about it either. Because it's like sometimes you have to let people live in their own. They've walked into this direction. You have to let them exist in it too. You can't protect them from themselves. You know what
I
I
feel
mean?
like that.
Yeah. You cannot forgive people who don't reciprocate that to you. You know what I mean? You cannot act, kindly to people who aren't kind to you. So if you've already tried to walk in that direction, don't keep on walking in that direction. I feel like give them a taste of their own medicine. You get what you give. You give what you give. You gonna give me a hard time. Oh yeah, you're gonna feel some of that back. I'm not gonna always turn the other cheek. I'm just not always gonna do that.
I mean, but
And that's just
that's
what I
that's
feel
how
is
it
fair.
happens when you live that type of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're that type of person, when that is you, that's what happens. Because I feel like, with reciprocity being both a natural and a spiritual law, if
Hmm.
you believe it or not, like that shit gonna come back, so
Oh
you have
yeah.
to be cautious of what you put into the lives of other
Oh
people.
yeah.
But if
I
you
believe
live
that.
an eye for an eye, you feel like every time somebody offends you or, disregards your boundaries or whatever, and you pay it back to them that way because that's just how you are, then don't be surprised when somebody come and pluck your eye out because you got a couple of
Right.
eyeballs in your satchel. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Sometimes that's what it is.
where
And
people yelled
I
at the
live
victim.
I live in a dynamic where my husband is exactly my opposite. He can be petty and he can be vindictive very instantaneously, and that can be a little bit destructive. You don't want to be that either. You don't want to be all vengeance and no love and forgiveness and grace. So it's all with the balance. It's good to nip things in the bud because I know that there's been times when you don't do it and it resonates with you too long after, where you feel like, you know what? I should have just said how I felt in that moment. Say how you feel sometimes. At least put it out there. Let people know you're not happy with them sometimes when they're off putting and out of pocket. You know? Like I had
Right.
to get rid of a person who I was close to. I was patronizing her business. I won't mention her name. But I was trying to help her, and she didn't want to get the help, and started acting very kind of abrasive with me. And I was like, you know what? That is not the sentiment in which I gave you the advice, and I don't appreciate you thinking that I would come at you like that. So that's the end of the road for us. And if you can't see when somebody wants to help you, then we're not like minded. You know what I mean? I expect you to, after 11 years, 12 years, that if I'm gonna tell you something, you're not gonna backlash at me. That's for sure. Because I'm not all loving, wonderful unicorns and happiness either. I have an attitude. I'm very aggressive sometimes, and I try to keep that quelched in a public setting. But I go off on people in real life. Okay, I'm a go offer. I'm a
Okay.
straight shooter, no chaser. But I try not to be. So that's why I get with that. Like, look, I don't have time to babysit you. You gotta walk in your own shoes. Walk it, you know? So anyway,
Yeah. But
back
wait,
to
before
the
you move on,
review.
hold on. Wait.
Wait,
Before
wait,
you move on, I just
okay.
wanna, because you said you were, just expressing about this whole situation, but again, I'm working with this little raggedy ass Android, and I'm having a hard time navigating it. So
Tell me,
just
Andre.
one second.
You looking up something?
Yeah.
The hell? I see your fingers on the screen. I think I look cute today. I put on my red lipstick.
That's what we're known for 'em, huh? Okay, so just to what we were just talking about. All right, bet. So,
Oh.
and it's crazy because it was 10 years ago to the date I posted
Hmm.
this, and it says, Jesus told us to eliminate the sins in our own lives, rather than passing judgment or looking down on others. For if we judge other people harshly, we will in turn be judged harshly.
Agreed.
Matthew 7 and 1 and 2 says, do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And with the
Hmm.
message you use, it will be measured to you, right? Or sorry, with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. And
Absolutely.
then I went on to say, if you do well, I'm sorry, you do well if you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. But if you show
Hmm.
partiality, you commit sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors. For whoever keeps the law, the whole law, but fails in one point has become accountable for all of it. For the
Right.
one who said, you shall not commit adultery, also said, you shall not murder. Now, if you do not commit adultery, but if you murder, you have become a transgressor of the law. So
Hmm.
speak and so act as those who are judged by the law of liberty, for judgment will be without mercy to anyone who has shown no mercy. For mercy triumphs over judgment, and that's James 2:8 through 13.
Absolutely. Amen. And hallelujah for you being able to find that sentiment in the Bible. Because I think a lot of the times my hurt, my con- like my contention with people who are so-called Christian is that you're not living by the spirit of the Bible. The
Right.
spirit, when the Lord came, he was saying it's not about the letter of the law.
Here's
It's not
freedom.
about you got to sacrifice a lamb to get forgiven so that you can go out and do this and then go sacrifice. Now it's about the spirit of it, your whole heart. And so, and I have idiosyncrasies. I'm not gonna follow all the ways like this person. I'm gonna follow my way. I'm gonna do it by the spirit of my heart and my soul. Now, before we had this conversation, I sent you. I said my sentiment is that if God can forgive a murder on their dying bed, then He will forgive my idiosyncrasies. And people who call themselves Christians should should always remember the spirit of the Bible is deeply rooted in forgiveness and not in living by the letter of the law. And that's what I cling to in my life. It's like that's what the Lord came for. And no matter what think about all the people he brought into the foreground to tell the stories. All the stories are told behind people who were not the typical, oh, they're in the church praying and
Right.
so close to Jesus. It's about the man that
They were
wasn't.
ostracized.
Right. It was about the man that wasn't. And that he tells those stories. Those are the stories we hear in the Bible. So I feel like to kind of pick and choose who's doing right or wrong, or who's doing it the right way and not the right, that's not what that's about. It is not about that. And to, when somebody has a speck in their eye, you know what I mean? Look at the
Right.
the the big
The
timber
beam
in
in your
yours.
eye. Yeah.
Exactly. So let's always remember that part. Cause yeah, I'm not a like, I have people who I know who can pull Bible scripture and quote it and
Smooth out
tell
their ass,
people,
huh?
and yeah, that's not what it's about either.
It's not.
And
Right.
if I
But
can't, that it doesn't matter. I'm no less of a
excuse me.
Christian than you are.
Right.
So
So,
yeah.
and but to that point, and it's crazy because I was thinking today too, and we're not supposed to be having church. We're supposed to be talking about this movie, so we're gonna move on at some point. But I was thinking about today how the word became life. Jesus
Hmm.
wasn't out there quoting scriptures from the Old
Right.
Testament or whatever. He was living by what the whole point was. So it's not a
Exactly.
matter of you to be able to read this Bible to get out there and start putting scripture in people's faces, because I try to get
Yes.
people to understand all the time. Like me personally, I can't see generalizing life off of one scripture. Like
Right.
the shit that you go through and you experience, you may try to take the scripture and apply it to that, but when you go back and you read this whole book, not
Hmm.
just this chapter, but when you go back and read this whole book and understand what was happening in these people's lives, like sometimes
Right.
we set ourselves up as the enemy and think that, oh, God gonna fight my battles. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
No, like God
Hmm.
said to have your heart right. You know what I mean? And then when you go into battle, if it be necessary, I'm gonna make sure that you come out good. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you have a whole responsibility to the protection that comes from me. Like these promises that you get, like you have a whole responsibility to that, which is why it's important to know this whole book and what was going on and who he was talking to. Because even
Yeah.
furthermore, when we get to the point, we start talking about, the people, like when we talked about when we spoke about my favorite scripture, and I told you about like the whole point of the most pivotal point in the Bible for me with the Canaanite woman when she came, and he was saying, like I didn't come to give all of this to dogs or whatever, and she was like, even us dogs eat the crumbs that fall from our master's table, and he was like,
Hmm.
because of your faith, your daughter is healed, so you go ahead and take your ass home and don't worry about it,
Right.
like so that gave the point for us to be adopted into sonship by faith, not having
Yeah.
to be a certain set of people or born into a certain blood or family, but because I believe that you died for my sins and that this blood still qualifies me for
Yeah.
redemption. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
being the whole point. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like when we talked about that, you know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
that gives to where, when we have the Gentiles and the people who weren't raised under the law and had no understanding of that, to where their responsibility is in a relationship. And it's a matter of being able to sacrifice your heart and not being
Yeah.
like the world, and having more concern about the people around you than yourself, and not being so selfish. Because if
Yeah.
that's what the pool is like, then everybody gonna eat, because if you
Yeah.
run out of rice, I got a plenty, but I don't have no meat,
Yeah.
but you got plenty. So, I'm
Right.
worried about making sure that y'all all eat. And if you're doing the same thing, then it's an overflow. And that's how we end up living in an abundant life. You know what I
Yes.
mean? But because of how oppression and the pressure that was put on our community, we don't get to
Yeah.
get to that point. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Because anything that look like me is automatically an enemy. Because if he eating, I can't.
Yeah. 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 And that's another thing that I was talking about before we started, is that we have to send out into our community the idea of where we were before colonizers came into our world and created this extreme amount of animosity we have toward each other. That is the demonstration of people who hated us. They hated us and wanted to oppress us. So they taught us things that were not of us. It's not of us to kill each other. It's not of us to hate each other. It's not of us to be enemies within our amongst ourselves. That is something that was taught to us. That was something that was immersed into our experience here. But that is not our nature. And I've been called coon. I've been called all kinds of names. Or I've been just a lot of things, just because I don't wish to embrace uh, the negative stereotypes of my community. I don't have to. I feel like that's not necessary. I don't have to. And I did at first. When you're a kid in LA, You hear you're immersed in gangs, you're immersed in violence and other things that are of the community, but that doesn't mean that that has to be who you are. That isn't who I am. I'm not going to encourage something that I feel is not supposed to be encourageable, and I know better, so I do better. And I hope to impart that to anybody, black, white, I don't care, because we're human first, number one. Color is just what they call it. They say that that's a what did they say, ma? It's what? Oh, color is just no. It's just an idea. It was never an actual thing. Color is just melanin. You know. Yeah, we're not different because we're a different color. Um,
I'm not human.
yeah, it's a society's conjuring. They conjured it up.
I'm not
Um,
human.
exactly. So it's like
I'm not
to
human.
me, that is something that was told to us, and now we believe it and perpetuate it amongst each other. You know.
I'm not human
Why do you say that?
because I'm not, and I'm perfect.
What do you mean you're not human and you're perfect? Elaborate, please.
I mean, I'm
Let
not
me go
human
look this up.
and I'm perfect.
That's like I'm
What
gonna
you
look
about to
up
look
what
up?
that name is. Um, the idea is a social construct. It just came to me. So
Oh, I
the
could look
idea of
that.
different races is a social construct. You
Yeah.
know, so we have to always remember that and stop trying to perpetuate this strange idea that somehow we have to act like, oh, every other black man is an enemy. We're territory, and shoot him.
Right.
And mind you, you recently lost somebody to gun violence that you care about
Yeah.
just last week. That's why we couldn't record because you went and you had to go to a funeral. Talk about that just a little.
That was a couple of months ago. So
That was
I went
well.
last week because, so he was 18, right? And
Mm-hmm,
he completed all his credits to graduate from high school. So when
uh-huh.
graduation came, his mama received his diploma and all of that good stuff. And she had a
Uh,
graduation party. So I went for the graduation party. But,
oh,
again, to the point, it was my 18-year-old nephew. But again, being, where I'm from and how life is and the way that
yeah.
things go, not to say that it's normal, but it's the
It is part
conditioning.
of
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's how people respond to the environment that they have been put in for so long, and
yeah,
being trapped in that generational curse. Not even to say that the young man had to be out. You know, any of them doing or
yeah,
dealing in whatever they was doing, however it was going. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because it. I mean, I'm not gonna say that it never has to get to that point because sometimes it really has to get to that point. But y'all kids,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
But I feel like we've kind of taken it to the extreme, and we are almost I've had a lot of passive aggressive kind of aggression toward me because I vote and because I do things that are not necessarily um thought to be socially acceptable in the black community. And people say get the card, black card, all this other. We do a lot of perpetuating amongst ourselves. Okay,
you
this
had
is
your
just the
black
truth.
card revoked.
I've never had my black card revoked ever.
Oh,
People try, people try, but it's like then I have to show them my ass really, because like I don't play that. You know what I mean? You don't get to decide how I'm going to exist in this world. Stop taking liberties
right,
that you don't have.
right.
Okay, because I'm gonna set you straight real quick. But it's people have gotten cursed out in their DMs quick with the MFers and suck a what and kiss my ass. Because it's like when I won't show that to people on my page. Sometimes you see a little bit of it. But when you come for me, don't come for me unless I send for you for real. Because I'm an angry woman, and I will show you. I will show out in a minute. I will, especially in your DMs, especially in your DMs. Catch me. What you got? Catch me outside.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside. Okay, because I don't play. I remember a kid from high school. He had just called me a coon on one of my posts. I said, MFer, let me
Wait,
help you
so
understand.
this y'all friends on Facebook, but y'all knew each
Yeah,
other from high school.
I'm like,
Now he calls you
eh,
a coon.
nigga, let me show
Why?
you something real quick. Block and delete. Cause I'm
Why he
militant.
called you a coon?
Don't get me wrong. I'm a militant woman.
What was the conversation though? Like, why?
He was acting like it was when I was really trumping it up on my page when Trump first started coming on and I was making all of these posts. And he goes, number one, he actually sent me a dick pic in my messenger, and my husband found it first and showed me. Like he said, oh, his shit got what you call it? It got spammed or something. I'm like, mm-hmm. I'm like, brother,
Your shit
okay,
got spammed and somebody sent me your dick?
right.
Okay.
I'm like, I wasn't born yesterday, honey. I was like, I'm glad my husband found it. Like that's what happens. Um, but oh yeah, he got cursed out thoroughly. I love giving people a verbal lashing because don't come incorrect at me because I'm a come at you quick. I'm like a serpent. I can be a serpent. Yes, I will cobra your ass. But you know, it's a skill set I don't like to display. It goes against the way was raised. But I do like to say that I come from that school of thought. That hey, you want to have some fun, and you want me to let you know how life really is. That I don't love you like that, and I'm gonna check you quick. Done. Bye. I'm
I
gonna
don't feel
check
like it
people
really ever
quick.
get that deep, like,
Yeah,
for
I'm gonna
me,
check people
because
quick. Like if you stayed in my good graces, just because you get what you give, you get what you give in life. I really believe that. And so if you bring light to my world, I'm gonna shine brighter for you. That's how I am. I'm gonna give you 10,000 kudos. You see what I'm saying? If you just give me one, I'm
one
gonna be
one
the
kudo
greatest
or
light.
1,000.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna be the greatest light. But if you're not, I'm ready for you too.
Ooh, you're not ready
I'm
for
ready for
me.
you too.
You're not ready for me. you
It's like
you're
don't
not
threaten
ready
me
for
with a
me.
good time. 'Cause I can
You're
go
not
there
ready for
quick
me.
and I have fun with it. But
Me
it
too.
it's
But
not.
listen, you're not ready.
Me and you, I bet you'd be surprised. But we don't have to go there because we got kumbaya going on. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It don't need to
and
even
we can have a
be
difference of
known.
opinion and still have kumbaya going on.
You know what the funny thing is? I've had a lot of contentious conversations with people where I get very out of pocket. And the funny thing is, people who know me in real life, who talk to me outside of work, know that I'm like that. They know I will bring up race. They know that I will curse you out. I may get very funky, but I'm not hating you. I'm passionate. You see what I'm saying? I'm very passionate. I'm gonna speak my mind straight. That's just it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make it pretty. It's not gonna be pretty. It's probably gonna be very ugly. But I feel that people need that part too. You need that part of a human spirit too. I'm not always kind. I'm not always happy. It is what it is. And I shouldn't have to be apologetic. I shouldn't have to explain. It is going to be what it is. And I'm not going to be left leave there no room for you to wonder. You're going to know. That's why if I feel something, you're going to know. I'm not going to hide it. Why would I? Why would I? I don't have to answer nobody. I'm grown. So are you.
I
So
mean,
do what you do, but don't expect me to eat your shit. Never.
okay,
I'm gonna throw it right back in your face.
okay.
That's it.
I mean, yeah, I definitely feel the same, and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to feed nobody no shit. So
No, no, I'm not trying to feed
feed
nobody no shit.
anybody any shit or whatever, but I ain't
Yeah.
trying to feed no shit to nan motherfucker. So
But come at me and see what happens.
right.
Come at me and see what
But I
happens.
don't even like to get into the point to where we having verbal lashes and shit like that because
Oh,
again,
I
like I
will.
said, being in a place where you are conditioned to respond in a certain shit, certain type of ways, I
Yeah.
know, how far I can take shit or how far people can go. I don't put nothing past nobody, so
Right.
I
I'm
don't even
past
have
that.
time. Like,
I'm past that. It's like I've let people, once you've navigated through life and had a journey with people who are going to get out of pocket and and not be honorable with reciprocating goodness, they deserve exactly what they get. They deserve
Right.
it. I'm gonna give it to
Right.
you. I'm gonna drop the bomb. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I'm not gonna leave this place and then it lingers in my spirit. I'm
Right.
gonna let it go
I
on
mean, but I
you.
feel like if we at the point to where we just want to sit here and disrespect each other back and forth, like I don't have the
Nah,
energy for
that's
that.
not
But
worth it.
if the point in doing that is to get in the field, then just get to that. You know, like
So yeah,
hold your
I'm
tongue,
just giving a
don't
nice
even
little
worry about it.
taste.
We just gonna move straight
And
to whatever the
we're
point
back to
is. You
straight.
know, because if we
Yeah.
just gonna argue, then we can just get to a resolution. Like, what's your issue? What's the
Yeah,
problem?
exactly. That's
Because I don't have time to
some
argue.
people I'm not for. I'm not for you. You see what I'm saying? They don't come here with your contention about me. You don't like me, move on. Done.
Don't come
Simple.
over here inserting your opinion where it's not given a
Exactly.
fuck
Don't
about.
come thinking that you're gonna do anything over here with me. I'm set. You see what I'm saying? I've already established myself. You don't like it, go. That's the freedom you have. Choose. Choices. You see? But you ain't gonna try to curve me. No. I've already done all the due diligence of becoming who I am. I don't need your help. Thanks. I'll evolve. I'll listen. I'm not unwilling.
Absolutely. Right.
If you make sense, I'm gonna
If you make
absorb
sense.
it.
Right.
But if you're full of shit, adios.
Right.
I'm gonna decipher you quick. You see? Deciphering skills are imperative.
Right.
I'm about it. You know,
Like
I'm
you got to
about
be able
that.
to teach me something that I don't know. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
Hey, I'm not here for the BS. I'm just not. Now I can snuff out BS quick. So I'm like, keep it over there. Go in your own world, walk in your shoes. I'm not gonna judge you. I'm not gonna have a problem with you, but you don't exist to me. I say you're a ghost in my world. That's how I used to dismiss people. You're a ghost in my world. You can dwell wherever you want, but you're not gonna dwell in my space. You're just not.
right.
Go over there. Stay over there.
So listen, we 52 minutes into this conversation,
we
right?
we are there.
I feel like did we talk about the movie?
We did. We did
We did.
enough. We
Oh,
did enough.
we
I
did.
feel I feel it was thorough. We get to talk about whatever we want. That's why I like my podcast. Cause I have nobody telling me what I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be doing what I feel in my spirit. Period.
Okay.
But did you get your this or that questions ready? You go better find some.
Um, we talked about the movie though, right?
Hey, we could always talk about the movie. We just
um,
having a conversation.
damn, where they went? Okay. Whew. Do I remember which ones I said already? Oh, I think I do.
You can do them again. We might have different answers.
um, okay, so shopping online or in store?
I had a situation with the bra shopping thing, and I will have to go to in store because now I realize there's certain things you cannot just buy online. Online's great. I bought a lot of things online that I'm happy with if you read the reviews and see the pictures and make it thorough. But sometimes, as an older person, I miss getting the help from the people who work at the store and having them give me direction. And I feel like I'll never let that go because that's how I shop for my kids' clothes. I was successful throughout shopping, going to the store, so I'm gonna stick with shopping in the store. How about you?
Um, honestly, I don't want to do none of that shit.
Why? Well, men don't typically like to shop. So are you a shopper or are you not a shopper?
I'm not a shopper.
I'm not a shopper either, but I like to make good purchases because I remember one time at the onset of my kids going from Gymboree to regular clothes, like at a different kind of store, they didn't have their size anymore. I started buying things from Target. I started buying things from Old Navy, and I washed them, and they would shrink or they would color fade. They would get all these different little. It is they would it would just be bad construction of clothes, and I need clothes that are going to be dutiful to the fact that I have children running around doing things. So I ended up at J.C. Penney. J.C. Penney had good quality clothes, and Macy's, they have good quality clothes. That means they have shoppers for their stores that vet the people who are making products for them, just like Walmart. I would rather shop at Walmart than Target because I feel like they have a better vetting product. I mean, better vetting process for their products.
So you said you would rather shop at Walmart, right?
Walmart than Target for clothes because I don't shop at Target or Walmart for
Wait.
clothes.
Oh,
I
okay.
shop at the mall. Yeah, we shop at Dillard's. Just to be honest. So even though I'm saying J.C. Penney, we shop at Dillard's because we like high end things on discount. So we'll go to the
So
better
I like
things and get it on
Macy's.
60%. Huh?
I like Macy's. If I
I like
shop, if I have to
Macy's.
go, somewhere to buy something, that's my
Yeah,
go-to. Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna go to
I
Macy's or
shop at
whatever. If I
Macy's.
had a main, I'll let a motherfucker shop for me. Like,
Oh yeah.
I
It's
don't,
like my husband shops. He has a good eye. My best friend has a good eye with clothes. It's like I don't have a good eye with clothes. I like t-shirts. I'm a t-shirt and sweats kind of girl.
right. I mean,
Um,
I just don't like to actually, because me, I'm kind of tall,
you are
so
extremely tall, 6'4".
when we get into going into like big and tall,
Mm-hmm.
6'5",
Yeah.
um, like
Oh, you six
the
five?
shit
Okay.
be like big as fuck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
See, I'm a
who
petite. I'm
who's
five
a
one.
56 in the waist?
Yeah. But bigger people might be big. You know what I mean? Some bigger people are big.
I'm
You're
sorry,
a tall and
somebody
lanky
56 in the waist.
big
I'm not.
person.
I'm not
Exactly.
really. I'm
See, you
not really
said you were
big.
fat, but you're not fat. You're
I
you're
am.
thin. You
I'm
you
not.
st- you're still lanky. You're still lanky, man.
I'm not.
You-
It's a whole.
You're
It's a
not
whole
fat.
lot of body over
Fat
here.
is a big bubble gut. That's fat.
It's a
You
whole
got none
lot
of
of
that
body
going
over
on.
here. It's a
You
whole lot of
fine.
body over here.
You are fine, Andre. That's your own self image.
A
Watch
whole
when you
lot of
get
body over
fat, you're
here.
gonna be mad at yourself. When
I'm
you
not
get
gonna
bit
be mad
older
at.
like me, and then you're really fat, you're gonna be mad you thought you were fat at that age. Because
Hey,
I
I
thought I
be
was fat
looking
at
at
8.
pictures of me pre-pandemic, and I be like,
Hmm.
damn, I can't believe I thought I was
We
fat.
all got
Like,
a
look
little
at me.
fluffy. It's all good.
I can't believe I thought I was fat. Like, look
Mm-mm.
at
We all
me.
got a little fluffy.
But
We just sitting
now,
around
hey.
enjoying some meals.
But
Nothing
the
wrong
Old
with it.
Navy thing, shit like that, the Forever 21s and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
Forever
shit
21s,
like that.
Charlotte Roosters and stuff. Yeah.
I
That stuff
can't.
was getting on my nerves.
Yeah,
So I was
that
like,
I
nah,
can't
I'm gonna
do.
go to the tried and true and get stuff that I know after I wash it. I've had some t-shirts from Walmart that unravel at the ends, like their seams, they don't have the best quality. So I don't really buy clothes from there, but I'll buy a t-shirt. I like those little $4
Oh,
t-shirts.
the T-shirt I got
Yeah,
on right now came from Target,
exactly. I like their t-shirts and regular basic stuff. Like I'll buy all
but
my
I got this from
nightgowns from
somebody.
Walmart because it's like they're
Um,
$7. I could
but
buy
I'm
50.
more so of a Target type of person.
Yeah, yeah. Simple things like socks, stuff like that. But wardrobe, we're at the mall. It's like we can't do that. I bought
Yeah,
this shirt from Hot Topic, $21. I
I
love
like
it.
to.
Yeah, Hot
I
Topic is
just
cool.
going into places where you I'm more apt to find something that's within my size. Like I need a
Right. Yeah, yeah.
34 inseam. You know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean? Like my
Oh
legs get
definitely.
pretty long, so me shopping at Old Navy and Forever 21, those are cuts for European people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So again,
Exactly.
when we get to that leg length, it's going to be real slim. Or if we
Hmm.
get to being as like needing a 39, 40 to 36, okay, a 36 or a 38, you know what I mean? Like that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Like
I was
it's
just thinking we should take a picture side by side so people can see the discrepancy between how tall you are and how short I am. Because it don't show on this damn thing. We just see our faces.
no,
But one day I'm gonna take a big
right,
picture and next to you so I can see he's much taller than me. I come up to you like your chest line.
right, just a little bit, if that
Right.
much, but yeah.
Yeah. So what's our next question?
Um, to be cherished or respected. I feel like I asked that already, but I don't know.
Um, that's hard because I don't know if you get a lot with respect. I feel cherished is great. I'm starting to resonate with cherish because my kids respected me, but they don't cherish me as adults, and I feel that sting. Like I was raised with the philosophy that your children aren't your friends. Like I see younger moms and they're like, "That's my best friend." I'm like, "Oh, we couldn't say that when I was." Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mama let me know I'm not her best friend, but that
Okay.
was okay because it was about
But
respecting
was it?
your elders. And now I think that the climate has changed just a little. It's like my kids, they don't tell me if they're in a relationship until it's a year later. I don't get the ends of my children's lives because they're like, "Oh, you're like
Um.
this. You're strict."
So when you talk about respecting your elders,
hmm
where does that come from? Like, why do you
I
feel
don't
like
know.
elders deserve respect?
I don't. That's how my kids think. They think that why do elders deserve respect? They have to earn it. And I'm on that same page to a certain degree. I don't think that everybody just deserves your respect just because they're older. Because some older people are backwards as hell. It's like, and why would I respect those people? But it's just about learning that at first sight you want to be respectful. If you don't know an
To
elder,
everybody.
you want to be respectful in a general way.
To
But if you
everybody.
know certain people who are older and aren't, you know, all
To
correct,
everybody.
right? You have to take that into consideration, not to be disrespectful, but not
Not just the
to,
elders.
yeah,
To
not to,
everybody.
you keep one eye open, one eye open with the crazy elders, and just know that that's your
With
place. That is your
everybody.
place. Yeah, that's your place. You have every right to for your own mental health to vet people. Period. You can't. Everybody doesn't deserve your respect, nor does everybody deserve your kindness and forgiveness. So that's how life is. I believe that's a healthy
Right.
philosophy to hold onto, and in any given situation, you should be able to decide how you're gonna treat people, and always start with good. Hey, if somebody
Definitely.
shows you their ass, oh, you gonna see my ass too. It's like you're not gonna get away with that. I might say it in a nicer way. I'm gonna let
Right.
you know though.
I don't know about the nicer way either, but at the same time, like I feel like people get into a space to where they become entitled. It's a condition
Yes.
that we've learned, and it stems from, dare I say, the privilege of
Oh, yeah, of being older. Yeah. No,
no,
that's
white
not okay.
privilege,
Oh,
white
white privilege.
privilege, right?
Yeah, white privilege is
So
too
it,
prevalent.
it stems from, getting to the point to where just because of a certain state or class that you deserve
hmm
a certain level of respect. But we all, like you said, quote unquote, supposed to be human, and we all bleed the same blood. We all have emotions. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
We all get triggered. We all experience trauma. Now the response may be different, but everybody deserves to be
hmm
respected.
Cute. I feel that. I
LGBTQIAMLOP,
agree.
black, white, tall, short, fat, broke, poor, everybody deserves
Yeah,
to be respected,
yeah.
and that's where we lose space at, because you feel like there's a lot of people who, like the damn, we went over time, but the
We're
pride
good.
of life, the pride,
hmm
the pride of life, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes really, 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 really have people in a chokehold,
hmm
And
Yeah, yeah.
when you were attracted to a certain thing in a certain way, you hold it to a certain standard. And I was actually seeing this post on Instagram not too long ago where like a guy was explaining his whole thing and his discovery of Nike and where the name came
Mm.
from, and
hmm
how all of that went about Greek or whatever, however that goes. And he was saying like how the Bible talks about, like something where God's supposed to be before him and, wanted to destroy. So he threw all of his Nikes away, which I thought was foolish because you're not really,
Hurting.
understanding,
hmm
right? Not just that, but you're not understanding what that relationship is like when we're talking about you having God, like God being the head of your life. You know what I
hmm
mean? And
hmm
because something said Nike and wherever that stemmed from, and you having it on your feet, like when we talking about that, we're talking about Abraham and Isaac
hmm
in the situation of that. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah,
the point to where your focus is more so on this than it is on me. So
yeah.
now I want to know, do you love me more or do you love that more? Because if it's this
Mm.
over here and you really trust this, and I need you to take that up there, put it on that, make this sacrifice.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you're
yeah.
not willing to do that for the sake of this, then now you're putting this before me. Now if
That
God
happens
told him,
throughout relationships all the time. I'm
yeah,
struggling with that with my husband. Like, well, what is priority in your life? And he's saying doing the same with me. Like, well, what is important to you? If you love me, you do this. And if you love me, you do that. And it's like, we've come to a place where after 30 years, it's like, well, you know what? I don't want to watch the first 48 on TV, and I'm going to go into another room so that I don't take that joy away from you. Because before the way we were set up, we couldn't leave the room. We were kind of stuck in our room. We had to watch things together, and now it's different because the kids are gone, and so now we have the freedom. And we never thought we would be these people where I'm in one room and he's in another, but that's kind of how it is because although we are best friends, we are frenemies too, because there's a lot of things that we've learned across the evolution of our journey that I don't like this and I don't like that. And we used to be like, oh, I'm gonna do because I love him. I'm gonna learn all his mom's recipes. That's how you started off. I'm gonna cook everything he likes. I'm gonna clean up after him. I'm gonna pick up all, and after a while, I'm like, I'm not picking that up. Pick up your socks. Stop leaving your socks all over the house. That's my big contingency with him. He goes on the couch and he takes off his socks and he throws them wherever. And I'm like, I got 4 pairs of socks. I need to throw them over in his room. Yeah, throw it in his room so he can pick it up. Whereas I used to, put in the hamper and put in his drawer and do all the things. Yes, but that's a different story. 30 years later, it's a totally different story.
right. But
Yeah.
when and it's very rare, but we are in a climate where,
Mm-mm.
people are trying to experience life and relationships different than our parents did. Because in this situation, like it's almost kind of sort of to the point to where you could be my parent, but not so much like my parent.
Right, right,
Like
right.
you
So
would have been
that's
a
where we
very young
are.
parent with me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
So I'm kind of in the middle, like bridging this gap. But
yeah.
at the same time, like we have different expectations because in a mutually considerate relationship, like if I'm learning all your mom's recipes and I want to watch everything that you want to watch and I'm picking up your shit and throwing it in the hamper and stuff, and you considering me and you realizing that you're pouring in and I want to pour in too. So one, I'm
Yeah,
gonna learn the recipes that you liked, and
right.
I'm gonna pick up my shit behind myself, so you're not
Myself,
always having to
right,
do this, and not getting tired and fed up, and like being mutually considerate, and
right, right,
like not to say that that's how we build longevity, because motherfuckers be married for 50 years and he been beating the shit out of her and she been cheating the shit
right,
on him, and like
right.
whatever, but just for the thought of having to be together for the kids, and people
Yeah.
really be married and having this idea that we're gonna stay together for the kids, and the whole time the children be like, fuck, I wish y'all would just
we were
separate.
kind of like that because we got into a place where we were always fighting and arguing, and it was just a point where we needed space. That's what I felt, and it has helped, but it hasn't resolved all the issues. But people are people, you know what I mean? You're not going to agree all the time. It's just when you're in a relationship, you have to be the master of forgiveness, the master of tolerance. You have to be the master of those things, especially when you love someone so deeply that they are your family, because that's what it is. Now, this I'm talking about my family, and so and people, some people don't grow, they don't evolve, they stay the same way the whole damn time. That's what I'm learning. That no matter how good you are to somebody, if they came from whatever, that will live with them forever. And you don't get to be like, well, if I
I
love
mean,
him
well,
enough.
it can live with them forever, but do they have to
Yeah,
be ruled by it forever? You know what I mean? Like
I
you
agree
have
with
those
that part.
experiences,
You don't have to be
like
ruled
you'll
by it
never be
forever.
able to get rid of that,
Right.
like but you have to be in control of your emotions and how you respond to shit at some point,
Yeah, and I
like be
think that's
more
where therapy
intentional.
comes in, though, because people don't self-reflect enough to even get to the place where they can think that way. They just live and react, live and react, they just live in that, and they don't
Okay.
take a moment to step away from it
Maybe
and
I'll be thinking about
analyze
shit too
it
much.
and see if it serves if it serves them, or if it's bringing them distraught and despair in life. So I think we're always prone to being in a rut, and outlets like this that hopefully are thought provoking can get people to take those steps back when they're ready. Because sometimes
Right.
when you hear it from people you care about, you see all the time, you're like, eh. And then when you hear it from
Right.
somebody outside of that, you might think,
Okay.
like I was reading a great book. I would looked it up, and it's funny because we were talking about scriptures and things like that. And I just read this great book by a comedian from Insecure. Her name is Yvonne Orji,
That's
and it's
Molly.
called by. Huh?
Molly.
What?
That
Yeah,
was her
with
name in
Molly.
Insecure.
And
Have you
Insecure, it's
seen her
Molly.
stand up?
I've seen her stand up. She's very funny. She's very funny. And
As fuck.
ironically, she never thought about being a comedian until God spoke to her. So
Funny as
it's
fuck.
called she's funny. Hilarious. Love her. That's why I read her book. I just
Yeah.
finished reading her book. And it's called Bamboozled by Jesus. Jesus, sorry. Bamboozled by Jesus, how God tricked me into the life of my dreams. So she really, really talks about the Bible. She's still a virgin even. She's keep waiting for marriage. Yes. And in the industry, she said she didn't want
I'm
to be
sorry. So
exploited.
my shot was, like, of course, in
Hmm.
this day and age, somebody being an adult and being a virgin is very, shocking,
It's
just
hard.
in
It's hard
whatever.
to, yeah,
But at the
process.
same time, she's a very beautiful girl. You know what I mean? So I
Beautiful.
know it's been like,
Hard.
eh, eh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Block the
back sing.
penis.
Yeah.
Right. Penis
So
blocking all day.
which is
So it's
shocking because
like ricochet, ricochet.
right,
But
right.
yeah, and my oldest is what you call it, celibate. He's a minister and he's waiting till marriage. He's in a relationship now and people can't believe it. They think, oh, that's not you. He's just not telling you the truth. But no, I feel like my kids are very as transparent as they can be with us as their parents. And I don't believe that he is because he preaches about the revelation he had and why. That's what he talks about when he talks to his congregation, which he's a junior minister under the minister of his church. And I feel like he is anointed. I've been with him since he was 4 years old. I remember when he was 8 years old, he told me he wanted to be a preacher, and I kind of laughed. I was wrong for that. I want him to forgive me because I wasn't mature enough to have heard it at the time, and but he followed through with that, and he's 34, and he's a very good example to everyone around him. He made that decision for himself. That did not come from anybody who raised him. We were not people who went to the church, even though I was raised that way. I did not take my children to church. They went to church when they were with my grandmother, with their grandmother, because she is a Bible thumper. But but that's the balance. That's the balance of they had me as their mom, who comes from that, who I lived it. I prayed every day until my son told me he didn't believe in God, and I stopped praying for a couple of years. Yes, because I wanted to walk in those shoes and see what that was like. Because for the love of my son, I didn't know what it was like not to pray. I didn't know what it was like not to believe in God. So I had to take a spiritual journey, and I prayed to God before I did it. And I've ended that part of my life because I feel like for this journey, I need him. I need him to help me guide myself through getting through my podcast is very important to me so I can evolve into the movie maker I want to be. I tell you that all the time that I want to be a film director. I want to write movies. I want to move people. That's really where I want to be. And this is just my practice of getting my voice out there. That's it. So, this has more meaning to it than just the
Um,
podcast.
so to the point of your son being celibate, right?
Hmm. My oldest,
Um,
the
right,
34-year
the
old, the
oldest,
26-year-old is the one with the religious. He needs to have a
the one that
religious
doesn't believe,
awakening.
right? I
Uh
mean,
huh.
hey, his thing is his thing. If
Yeah, yeah. I let
that's,
them live.
whatever, then at the end of the day, I believe God to get the glory out of whoever life He so ever choose, however they decide to live it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So whatever his journey is, like nobody can give him that revelation but
Nobody
him.
can give it to
He
him.
gonna have to get those shells or shackles or whatever the shit is over his
He's
own
gonna have to
eyes
experience God
by himself,
by
right?
himself. He'll take a
And if that's
journey when he
the
needs to.
intent between him and God, it's gonna happen
Yeah.
on their own time
It's like he
after he's
has
experienced whatever he needs to so that
right.
God can get the glory out of his life.
But I wanted him to arrive at his own conclusion. I wanted him to have that liberty because I didn't.
Yeah,
And it may or may not have been the right decision, but it was my decision to make. And that's the
right.
decision I made with my children.
Yeah. And
Because I
even
didn't
if
want them
he never gets to that point, because I don't want, to give this whole idea that, the shit just always happens and miraculously at the end of it, people, go turn to God and that's just it. Because if it
yeah.
never gets to that point, even still, God will get the intended glory out of his life,
Oh
even if
yeah.
it's not for the
Yeah.
sake of your relationship with him. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, even if it doesn't matter to nobody else in the world and it matters to just one person, God is going to get the glory out of
Oh yeah.
his
He's
life
very prayed
regardless,
for.
So
Yeah.
even still with whatever he got going on, there is intended purpose behind it. So
Yeah.
he
I need
deserves
him
the
to
freedom
be
to choose
a
and do
full
whatever he
human.
want
I
to
don't
do.
need him to be afraid of demons. They're artists. It's like, my parents are very, you can't have tattoos, lots of rules. And I'm like, I don't want to hinder them in those ways. I couldn't wear
People follow
red
those
nail
rules and still go to
polish.
hell.
I know, it's like, to me, I needed to reanalyze all of that. And I really was in that space raising my children, and I really made conscious choices about that. So my mother, sometimes makes me feel guiltified about it all, but I still have to stay true to me and the kind of parent I wanted to be. And I feel like I was very successful. My kids are very self reliant, they are
Right,
thriving. I feel
right.
like that was my focus, is
She want to
the
chime in
idea
yet?
of them being self reliant.
Your mama
And
want to chime
so,
in yet?
huh?
Your mama want to chime in yet?
She sleep. She took a nap. She's bored.
Oh,
That's my mom
okay.
though. I love her.
Um, but so I feel like I don't know. I've lost my thought, but it don't fucking matter.
Well,
Um,
my kids, my sons, the
yeah.
celibate
I
son
mean, like
and
for
the
me
not
though,
God fearing son.
I didn't have like the grandma to go to church with.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
my mom went to church. She, her mama was in the church and doing all of that shit. But my grandma died when my mom was 18, and I wasn't born
Oh
until my
yeah.
mom was 30. So
Yeah.
my mom had lost her way a long time before I came. And it
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
until I was 16 years old that I was actually introduced to it. And then when I was introduced to it, I was engulfed in it. Like it was a
Yeah.
real life consuming fire because it took over like
Her whole, yeah.
everything. And it's so
Yeah.
crazy because for me personally, like just having this whole like life and the way, that I live and my experience, I hated myself for so fucking long
Which I hate
because
that
of the
you say
laws
that.
and the
Yeah,
traditions
yeah.
and what
Yeah.
the idea of how you were supposed to be was. But it wasn't until I like how you say metamorphosized.
Yeah.
You go from caterpillar to butterfly. It wasn't
Mhm.
until
I
I
love that.
transcended from religion into relationship that, I really found my freedom because when the Bible says that where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty also, like
Yes.
me
Yes.
having this opportunity to believe that you died for my sins and my life is hidden in this blood that, is supposed to cleanse all that. Like the only
Yeah.
thing that's going to cause me to fall out of that is to lose my relationship. And that's lack my faith. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and
Right.
that's for me personally, and nobody can take that from me because my relationship with God is personal. And when a
Oh
motherfucker
yeah.
tried to, that's when it just all shit fell apart.
Right. And I do feel like it's ironic that people believe that if they can quote the Bible and kind of be, you know, judges of everybody else and how they religify themselves or how they practice their God fearing ways, it's just interesting because then that's really the immature part of people who are in the church. That if you've
Right.
evolved past that, then you don't need all those things. That you don't need that arsenal because it's your
Right. But
whole it's your
listen
whole
though,
spirit.
for
You
those type
know?
of people who quote scripture and do all of that and whatever that bullshit and your heart not in the right place, guess what? You're an
Yeah,
imposter.
exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
You're
even
just
matter.
making noise. You just quoting
Right. It
scriptures
doesn't
and
even
reading
matter.
words. You
So
know what I mean? Like we
don't
might as well be reading. What was that with them dog hounds? And they had that whole series of books, and they was doing the
yeah.
investigating and
It's
shit. But
like
whatever. We might as well be reading the regular book. This might as well be Shakespeare at this point
right.
because you're an imposter. You
Exactly.
know,
You're not
shut the
living
fuck
it.
up and sit down.
Yeah, you're not living it. So it's like when you live it, you just live it. It just is. And you treat people accordingly. That's why people don't get cursed out all the time. But you will. You see what I'm saying? But you won't as long as you are walking straight with me. As long as you are trying to just exist, I'm not going to hinder your life or your world with all this contention. It's like, but I got people in my circle that need to be checked. So that's how that works.
I mean,
You're
you
gonna
treat
get
people the
checked.
way they want to be treated. Like we
Yeah.
again transcended beyond the golden rule into the platinum rule. So it's not
Yeah.
treating
Yeah.
people the way you want to
Yeah.
be treated because everybody don't want to be treated like you. You know what I mean? You treat
Exactly.
people the way they want to be treated. Respect them as such. I don't care how
Right.
thick the beard or mustache is. If Sir, want to be ma'am today? Then ma'am, have that.
Right. It's neither here nor there for me. It's not
Have
for
that.
me.
Right now, respect the
Exactly.
fact that I don't want no parts in it. I don't want to partake. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
cool. Like
You
I
make choices
respect
for
your choice
yourself.
and your freedom to do your thing, but I'm gonna do
Right.
mine over here.
And don't impose on people. That is not our position to impose. I do give unsolicited advice. Sometimes not directly, but indirectly, because I can be passive aggressive. I don't like when people do certain things to me, and in the moment, I can't lash out because I'm being PC and politically correct. So sometimes I will passive aggressively put posts on Facebook that are talking about very specific people.
Don't talk about me on Facebook. Okay, if
It's
you ever
because
got a
people will be
motherfucking
doing
issue with me,
things.
let me know because it ain't a
I just
bitch
want
on
to sit there
Facebook
and
that's gonna be able to
lecture
solve no
them.
problem with me.
Yeah, I want to lecture. I'm like,
Don't lecture
you
me
shouldn't do
either.
that. You shouldn't do that, young people. Don't think your son is that adorable. 'Cause the world's gonna let him know. The way you look and how cute you are means nothing to me.
I don't give no
You
fuck
do you
about. I
work
will
hard.
look.
You
They
have an
will
ethic
kill
of a
you
work ethic
because of how
about
you
you.
look and
Because you
how
might be
adorable you
cute.
are.
If you don't know how to work hard, you ain't gonna get nowhere.
I mean, that's
So
not
let's tell
true.
our sons that
That's
they
not
need to be
true.
providers and
That's
protectors.
not true. All you got to
Providers
do
and
is know how to
protectors.
be cute and have lack moral, baby. You get anywhere you want to.
Please. But how far can you get and how long will you stay?
If
That's
you
the
know
only
how
out.
to manage it properly, you'll
Hey,
get very
hey.
far and stay very long. I'm not
Don't
gonna
worry, I
lie.
got people
I believe in
career.
telling people
They
the
have whole
truth.
lives
I believe in
in that
telling people the
direction.
truth and allowing for them to choose what the fuck it is they want to do with their lives. And I'm the same way with my relationship with
Nah, I'm a
God and
getter.
like the whole religion thing. Like I
My
honestly
mother is
believe
very
in telling people the
comfortable.
truth.
You very comfy, mommy, huh? I just looked at my mom like she sleep. I'm like, yeah, my mommy gonna sleep. She is a rester. She gonna relax whenever she wants. That's right. She lives her own life. She independent and free. Nobody telling my mommy what to do. Get up and go when you want. Yeah,
Nobody telling me what to
I'm
do.
a spend some time with my mom. So, did you want to do another this or that? Or are you done?
Oh no, I had one more, but I don't
Okay.
know if I.
We always going over. You see, we can't stick to our 1 hour time.
I know, right?
But we like our conversations. We're on. We're on. So I feel like let's just finish it out. I think it's the last this or that question. We elaborate a lot though.
Yeah.
We like the elaborations. That's how we are.
Would you rather live with regret or doubt?
Oh wow, that's a good one. I have to take a drink on this one. I'd be like, oh, on the Drink Masters podcast. Like, if you can't answer the question, you got to take a shot.
Right.
Um, ask me one more time. I have to think about it and contemplate it.
Would you rather live with regret or doubt? Ask your mom.
Would you rather live with regret or doubt? Doubt is fine with me. I think I'm in the leading, and that's it. I don't want to live with regret. I definitely know that for sure. Want to live with regret, and that's why I lead with if feel in a moment because I've done it the other way, where you walk away from something, you're like, it just resonates, and you can't go back. That's where I am in life. Period. I will never want to live in regret, so I don't mind a little doubt. Yeah.
I think I would
How
take
about
doubt
you?
for the same
You
reason.
take
I feel like
doubt?
I would take
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, and if I don't
Right.
get to choose what I regret, then I don't want to. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that
But
because
you have that.
honestly, like for me, relationships. Like I've grown to the point to where relationships are the most sentimental thing in my life, and I would
Hmm.
hate to have to live with the regret of damaging or tarnishing a relationship. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like I would,
That's important to me
you
too.
know, like
That's why I
on my
always,
part being bad.
yeah. If I feel that it's necessary to walk something back, because I remember I stopped speaking to my best friend for 2 years. It's because she said something to me that I felt was unforgivable. I will not repeat it because to me it's offensive. But if she feels that way, like when we finally started talking back to each other, why you want to hear that? I'll tell you in private. And so I had to learn that I love her. I had to learn the hard way that I love her and that I have to provide grace. Even though I don't understand it, I'm not going to take that away from her. And I had to explain that to her that you are entitled to feel however you do feel, even if it's against what I feel or live or believe. I cannot take that away from you. I love you enough to say that I don't want you to change how you feel. I just want you to be sensitive to how I feel in that belief and in that mindset that it offended me, that it was about my child. And you have to understand as a mom, that is going to hurt
Bitch,
me.
I'll beat you up.
Right. That is going to hurt me to my core. And I want you to remember that next time you feel like you want to assert that part of your belief
Right.
to make it general.
So, to, for that, I feel like, and it's just me personally, when you're in relationship, and when I talk about relationship, I'm not necessarily talking about like a romantic relationship and a partner.
Right.
I mean a
Hmm.
relationship in life and in general, and it can
Yeah,
apply to
yeah.
your best friend, your mom, your son, your daughter, your
Yes.
partner, whatever, right? But when you're in relationship, when we love each other and we make it a point to love each other, like my intent and your perception of me kind of balance each other out. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
you know me, you grow to learn me, I know you, I grow to learn you. So I try
Yeah.
to, express my thought and my feeling as raw and genuinely as possible, so
And
it won't hurt you.
transparently.
Right.
Yeah.
But I want you to accept that in the same manner. You know what I mean? Like, don't
Yeah.
allow for me trying to give you the truth about how I perceive this situation.
Yeah.
Don't let for your perception of my intent to allow you to miss what's going on. You know what I mean? Because if I'm your friend and I'm seeing something that's off or odd and I bring this to your attention, naturally it may offend you, it may rub you the wrong way, but was my intent to be offensive,
I'm gonna have to get off.
like, yeah,
I'm having an attack.
it sounds like it, but
Ooh,
go
I
ahead
can't.
and
I can't hold it off.
go ahead and
It's okay. I love that point, but I'm gonna have to take a breathing treatment.
definitely
Um,
call me when you feel better.
all right. Until the next
Okay,
conversation.
all right, to the next
All right.
conversation.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Bye.